Is it ever okay to build with a man? The short answer is no, but let's talk about it. So, what exactly does building with a man entail? Well, it consists of you pouring your resources, whether that's money, time, effort, emotional support, into someone in the hopes that they'd get on their feet and possibly be able to take care of you and your family. But 9 times out of 10, it doesn't work out that way. What your life typically looks like with a man that you've built with is it usually ends the way it started, which is you pouring more, putting more effort into helping them than helping yourselves. It looks like you going 50-50 and contributing. And if that's your thing, that's your zhuzh, then by all means go for it. But if it's not, and you do hope that that man will eventually cover you, building with them isn't the way to go because typically the standard that you set in the beginning of a relationship is what's followed through. In fact, it'll just decline a bit, right? So let's say you start off going 50-50 with a man. You say, hey, I'm going to build with him, I'm going to help him get where he needs to be. Because you set the standard in the beginning that you are okay with helping them, assisting them, catering to their needs, they typically expect that through the duration of the relationship, right? Because that's the standard you set in the beginning. And this is why I always tell women you want to make sure that whatever you expect throughout the relationship, that standard is set earlier on. If you expect to, go out to dinner once a week or, have your partner purchase your little knickknacks and, empty your carts, your Sephora carts, your shopping sprees, have them fund that, then you need to have that standard set in the beginning, or else they're going to be surprised, confused, and honestly not want to go along with it when you decide to change up in the end. So, back to the point when you were so used to setting the standard in the beginning of, it's okay, I'll help you out, they expect that. And they're not expecting to cover you later on. Now, the caveat I have to this is let's say you meet your partner when you guys are both young, and you guys meet in university. Your partner is going to school to be a doctor. After undergrad, he's going to med school. Obviously there's going to be a period where he's not making much. If you know much about, the practice of going into the medical field, going through residency, they don't really make much. And of course, he's not able to take care of you 100%. However, you'd probably notice little signs that he is a provider, such as him wanting to make sure that whenever you guys go out, he's always footing the bill or he's always making sure that he caters to any gifts or anything that you want. He's getting you flowers, things of that nature. And he's said it in the beginning that, hey, I may not be where I want to be right now, but once I get to where I need to, I'm going to make sure that we're good, right? Situations like that are a rare example. Now, let's say that you guys are in your early 30s. You guys both work a corporate job. You meet someone, you guys are both working in corporate and you're at that point in your life where you're in a solid footing, right? You went to school, you're actually working or making decent money, both of you guys. And whenever you guys go out, he expects you to cover your food or he's, being really stingy with you. And he's making it very clear that he doesn't expect to fully provide for you. You choosing to be with someone like that and saying, I'm going to build with them and help them get into a senior position or so on. Maybe they just need to make more money. It's evident that even when they get to that position, they're still not going to be taking care of you because you already made it clear in the beginning that you're cool with going Dutch, right? So there's little nuances with situations like that. Now, I do also want to emphasize that there's a difference between building versus following a man with a plan. With the example I gave before of someone who's maybe going to become a doctor soon, or someone who's going to be a lawyer, someone who's genuinely trying to get their footing, you can't expect someone in their 20s, their early 20s, mid 20s, sometimes late 20s nowadays, to really have it all set together, right? So, again, if you meet someone when you're younger, and you choose to, have a young relationship, you guys are going to be together forever, etc. It's okay if they don't have everything planned out and they're not able to fully cover and provide. But you see those signs of them being generous, taking care of you when they can, versus just following someone who doesn't care, right? There's a big difference with that. You want to make sure that you're not putting all your money, all your resources into someone, because when you do that and it doesn't end up fruitful, you become a bit resentful of the situation, right? Because now all of a sudden you've poured so much into this person, and now they may get to where they need to be, and they choose to go and be with someone else who didn't pour anything into where they are now. And I'm sure you guys have probably heard of the situation where, the first wife versus second wife debate, right? And I'm not saying this obviously applies, but if you've never heard of it before, it's the concept that the first wife is the person, if they maybe got together when the guy wasn't as financially set, who helps him get to where he needs to be, right? She invests with him, she hustles with him, she's that ride or die chick, that sort of narrative, while the second wife is the one who reaps all the benefits of the back of the first wife. She is living more so a life of leisure. She's, not really putting her foot, rolling up her sleeves and getting in the dirt sort of thing. And of course, this does not apply to all marriages, but it's more so the concept of never be the first wife archetype. Never be the person that puts in all the energy just to have another woman come off and leech off of the roots that you laid down. So that's the sort of thing I really want to emphasize with you, because I don't want any of you women to fall into the trap of believing that you need to struggle or build with a man. You can follow a man or keep a man in your circle who has a plan, but don't divulge all of your time and effort into something that isn't going to be fruitful just for him to leave you and give all his abundance and all the abundance that you've poured into to someone else. The last point that I want to make is a lot of women, specifically Black women, are conditioned with this mindset that other women don't subscribe to, right? A lot of Black women are taught, hustle, struggle, it's okay, you know, you got to stick by your brother, don't beat the Black man down. And I want to emphasize that I am not against Black women being with Black men. This is not a divestment channel by any means. I'm for love who loves on you and who pours into you as a woman across the board, right? But this sort of mindset that you have to stick by someone and struggle with them is not a concept that exists in other communities. Other women, such as white women, Asian women, are often taught to be with the man who is able to give you the lifestyle that is best for you, who is able to provide, who is able to really cover you in different areas of life. And just because women are used to, specifically Black women, are used to seeing that sort of struggle dynamic within our communities, it's not something that we have to continue to regurgitate and implement going forward. You do not have to struggle. You do not have to be with a man that struggles. It is okay to want someone who is successful and well off, and for you to learn from them instead of them pouring into you. And again, I would argue that men prefer that because it allows them to feel masculine, it allows them to feel good, gushy, all that strong emotions, versus when they're feeling like you have to contribute. Because oftentimes, when they feel like you have contributed to their success and you choose to remind them of that, they oftentimes resent that as well, because they think, wow, maybe I wouldn't have had what I have if it wasn't for her. So maybe she doesn't respect me the same way. And a lot of people will like to say that's not the case. But again, you cannot beat science. You cannot beat our natural biological inclinations. Men want to feel superior in that sense. They want to feel as though what they've gotten, they've worked for it. They've really rolled up their sleeves and gotten the dirt to reach their goals and not have to rely on a woman to do that. So when you take on that role, you're depriving them of that natural feeling. So don't put yourself in a compromising position. Now, the last thing I want to say is I had seen a clip that's currently circulating on TikTok of this girl mentioning that, hey, it's okay to build with a man. She met her partner when they were younger. Now he's a lawyer and he takes care of her, and she's able to go to school and not work a job. And this is why I want to emphasize the point that I was saying of the difference between building with a man versus following a man with a plan. Her man is the perfect example of, they met when they were younger. He said, you know what, this is the path that I'm going to take. I'm going to be a lawyer and be successful and take care of you. And he did just that. She did not help him build in the sense of she's pouring resources into him. She simply was with him, during the duration, the time period that needed to be in order for him to be successful because they met when they were younger, right? And she stuck with him. So she did not build, right? And this is no shade to her. I think that she's a beautiful woman, and I do understand to an extent where she's coming from. But my point being is there was no struggle involved. Building implies struggle, and that's not something that I'm ever going to encourage for any of my girls. So that's all I have to say on this topic. I'd love to hear, do you believe in building with a man? Why or why not? And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.